your writing abilities and capabilities are going to change and evolve as you grow as an author. And as you age, things are going to change. What worked for you in the beginning of your career or what's working for you right now may not work for you in the future. So let's talk a little bit about the evolution of my writing process. When I first started as an author, I wrote secretly at night so nobody would know. Nobody would know what was going on. I hid it very quietly in the dark and I wrote well into the night. Now, I've always been a morning person and I despise being active after 5 or 6 p.m. And please don't ask me to talk or do anything after like 10. I don't want to be up late, but I did it for my books because it was how I was doing it in secret and how I was accommodating my other businesses and my work. And I was working a 9 to 5 at the time and I wrote late at night. And sometimes I'd write early in the morning, but it was all very hidden and hush hush. Then when I became published, I started having the freedom to write during the day and doing different things. And I leveraged pockets of time while I was working my 9 to 5 on my lunch break and while I was sitting in my car before and after going into work and all of those things. I leveraged the time that I had, but I also built in that time. From there, I leveled up. You guys have heard my story before, how I grew from taking a couple of months to write a book to being able to write a full-length novel start to finish and turn it into my editor from the time of conception in under 2 weeks and only having a handful of typos to deal with. So I work very, very fast and I can get a lot of things done very cleanly and without any changes from my publishers. So I have gone through a lot of iterations of how I'm doing it. And now that I am 7 years into my author career and it's been a hot minute since I have done a lot of writing and there's so much going on in my personal life right now, my writing has changed and my ability to write has changed. It now takes me a little bit longer. I'm sure if I actually really had a deadline and I needed to, I could do it in the 9.5 days that I used to be able to do it in. But because of everything going on right now, people are preventing me from doing that. And so I have started to write at night again. And as it turns out, I don't love it. I don't like it. My brain doesn't want to work that late at night. It wants to be done. It wants to do more analytical work, not necessarily the creative work. Writing at night just isn't conducive to me anymore. It's not a functioning way of doing things. And so for the last month or so, I have been writing at night. I put my dogs to bed, I get into my bed and I write. And I get some work done, but it's not nearly as productive as the work that I do during the day. And so I've recently made the decision, I am not going to try to write at bedtime anymore. I'm simply not going to do it unless I absolutely have to because it's not my most productive work. And I would rather spend my most productive time doing that work and using my later hours for other things that I'll be more productive at, that my brain can and does want to handle at that time frame. So my iterations of how I write have changed and evolved. I've evolved as an author, and evolving doesn't always mean constantly getting better. It does mean change. It means how we're changing and how we're revising things. At 36 years old, I am writing differently than I did when I was 30 years old. The way that I write is very different. My methods for writing, my strategies for writing are very different. So please hear me on this. If you are a writer, you're going to evolve. And it will be ups and downs and changes, and it doesn't even have to be ups and downs. It can be those horizontal moves from here to here. You can split off in different ways and do different things. Just because writing in the evenings used to work for me doesn't mean it does anymore. Just because writing in 9.5 days an entire novel used to work for me doesn't mean it does anymore. Just because writing a novel in 3 months used to work for me doesn't mean that it does anymore. You are going to change and evolve, and that's okay. Your strategy, your timing, your structures will change. The way that you write is going to change. It is going to diverge and go on different paths, and you have to be in tune with yourself enough to know what is working, when it's working, how it's working, and be able to pivot. Because what I could do when I was 27 and first being published is radically different than what I did at 30, is dramatically different than what I did at 33, and is incredibly changed from what I'm doing now at 36. I am doing things very, very differently. And because I understand my schedule, my life, my time, my circumstances, my environment, what's going on around me, I am then able to adapt and change to function when I do my best work. Sure, I could get into bed at the end of the day, put my puppies to sleep, and I could write for a few hours. I have the time But just because I have the time doesn't mean my brain's going to latch on at that point. I am using that time in a way that is better spent for what my brain wants to do at that time period of the day, and I'm doing my writing earlier in the day because it is more productive when I do it earlier in the day. I could take 3 hours during the day and get a significant amount more of writing done and less stress with it than taking that same time frame in the evening and doing less work with more stress. So I have to understand who I am and how I'm functioning in the time and space that I am functioning in now. What worked for me then isn't working for me now. I am changing, I am adapting, I'm evolving to make sure that I can accommodate what works best for me now, with the life that I have now. My life is different. My circumstances are different. My environment is different than what it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. And making sure that I'm changing and accommodating that is what is going to make or break my success as an author. I can get that work done, but I have to do it a little bit differently. So for you as a writer, as you grow, as you evolve, as you learn new things, you will be able to change and adapt. And you have to understand writing looks different from author to author, but writing looks different from you age to age, year to year. It's going to change. It's going to be different. I went from writing a book in a couple of months at night to writing a full-length novel in 9.5 days while also going to work. And now I have to take a little bit longer because of the things going on in my life right now, interrupting me all of the time. And I have to write at different times in different ways to get things done productively. And you can do that too. So you need to analyze what's working for you and what's not. And you know, if you've been on this channel, you know, I bring authors on, we show on screen exactly what we do and how we do it so you can find a writing strategy that works for you. But you have to understand your brain is going to process things differently at different times of the day, in different ways, in different environments. And as you age, that freaking changes. And we don't like it. We don't like to admit or acknowledge that things change. But the way that you function changes dramatically over the course of your life. And the way that you function, even year to year, I'm not even going to say 20s to 30s, but even from like 21, 22 to 25 is going to be different. It's going to be different in 27. It's going to be different at 30. And so you have to understand your evolution, what's going on, because you have different factors involved. You are changing. The way your brain function changes. And when you can implement that into your writing strategy, that then is going to allow you to make the changes necessary to do your best work and to give yourself that grace. Because my gosh, it is frustrating to have been able to write a full-length novel in 9.5 days without blinking for multiple novels. And now in my life, because things have changed, because I'm older, because my environment is different, because I'm taking care of so many other people, I have not been able to do that, even though that was my goal. I had set out to do that. And it's simply just not happening. And it's frustrating. So being able to give myself the grace and understanding of the fact that things are evolving and changing and I have to change with it takes a lot of that mental stress and load off of me. So give yourself grace, understand what's going on, try different things, and don't force yourself into a box of what you were, because what you were is not who you are. And you can do better. You can do better for yourself now and accommodate what you need now to get the stuff done that you need to do. Give yourself a little bit of grace. Drop your questions down below and follow along for daily videos helping you navigate the world of your publishing, from your writing to your publishing to your marketing, to make this your most profitable year ever, so that you can live your best author life while also living your life. It's one of those things we forget. I'm here for you. Get in my comments. Let's support each other. I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.